All right, Johnny, I'd like to thank you guys for hosting us once again for the meeting. You guys presented a package proposal to us last time. We're still going through it, costing it out and all that good stuff. We did have some other items that we wanted to discuss today. First and foremost, this is something that we wanted to bring to you. This is a This is a proposal adding this takes into account the TA that we already have requiring the 5 years as a full duty firefighter for promotion to captain to be eligible to take the captain's exam. But this also adds an assessment center component to it. And I think this goes hand in hand with what we've already TA'd. So I'm going to hand it off to Chief Mathis just to kind of explain the purpose behind the assessment center and why we think this is something we should move forward with.
Goes hand in hand with what we've already TA'd.
The 5-year requirement.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So we kept the 5-year requirement that y'all requested in there. And as far as on the, because we understand your concerns too, as far as having such a new firefighter that doesn't have a whole lot of experience end up being in charge of a station and running a crew and things like that. So another way to help with that is an assessment center of the captains, and it basically parallels like the battalion chief assessments, to where there's a written component, you have the written exam, and the way we're proposing this one is that basically the highest 30 participants that pass with a raw score of 70 would be allowed to participate in the assessment center phase of the process. And as far as that assessment center, you have your different types of scenarios that they would go through, as far as personnel problems, fire problems, situational exercises to run them through, and just to make sure that they are comprehend and their role as far as being a captain and an officer and that first line manager. So it just gives us the opportunity to ensure that, rather than just somebody who's just real good at smart, book smart, taking tests, but don't understand the component of taking, interacting with people and managing people face to face. This assessment center adds that component in there and just get a better evaluation of those persons on the list. So as far as the assessment center itself goes, it'd be through the same company with iOS and stuff like that. Be 3 exercises, just the same as the battalion chief's exam. It'd be 3 different exercises that they would go through with the assessors, and then the way we have it drawn up here is basically the written component would be 40%, the assessment center score would be 60%. So it just gives us a good feel of how they are able to manage situations and handle fires, being in a supervisory role. So, like I said, this kind of goes hand in hand, to where if you do get that newer person that just maybe has that 5 years in, it gives them that extra, or it gives us that extra, and insurability that they're able to, work, through different situations that they're going to be presented as a company officer, and that they can handle those positions.
And I think just a couple other things to note in there is that it keeps the same language that's seen in the Battalion Chief Assessment Center. A certain portion of the assessors are still going to come from outside the state of Texas. There's a ratio in there, so basically one assessor for every 3 that's total should be from outside the state of Texas. Same thing with the approval of the assessors. The union president has the ability to strike 1 for every 3 total assessors there are. So if there's a total of 6, and you'll get 2 strikes, the fire chief will get 2 strikes. If there's 9, then you get 3 strikes, and so on and so forth. Then
I got a couple questions.
Yes, sir.
Is there, what's the necessity of 2 years?
Just for some of you that are captains and have promoted already as firefighter twos or firefighter ones, you know the time and the effort that it takes to promote in this department. There's a lot of effort that's required into that. The deal with the 2 years or up to 2 years, like I said, and that would be announced basically at the time of the test. It's not, after the test or anything else. It'd be when the test is posted, it would be posted whether it's going to be a 1 year or 2 year list. Okay. This also adds in the fact to where, like I said, trying to get the younger firefighters. First of all, it helps those that did study for the test, give them an opportunity for 2 years for all that work they put into it. If they might be number 6 on the list, 6 or 7, and we only, promote maybe 3 or 4 a year, this gives them a higher opportunity of being rewarded for the effort that they put forth in study for the exam in the first place. On the other side of that, the flip side goes back to having those younger firefighters, giving them, that last 2 years. It gives a little bit more time for the younger firefighters, time in the tenure into the fire department, learning more stuff, and then they would become eligible possibly for the next test, rather than, having a test every year. They might not be, not be eligible for that next test.
All right. Do you know of any other Texas Metro departments that have Captain's Assessment Center with a 2 year list?
2 year list. I know several departments that have, or some departments have a 2 year list on promotional exams, on all promotional exams, not just captains, but some of them actually have a 2 year list on promotional exams. Some do, some don't. It's department driven. As far as any other ones that do a captain's assessment center, I think Austin is just going to that. They just started that. I'm not sure of any others. I'd have to call around and check and verify.
Okay. Gabe, I'm just curious on the B, the eligibility requirements. That was TA number 12, right?
I don't think it was number 12, but
The original, that TA was number 9.
number 9, yes.
It's number 9?
Yes, sir. I think that's
Okay. I just have 1 or 2 more questions on the Captain's Assessment Center. I think number 1 is, what is the cost of that and where does that money come from?
The cost of it is about, and just compared to, they just gave a lieutenant's exam, and I'll let Rebecca elaborate on this a little more, but I did check in the cost on that. But it was about $15,000. They just did a police lieutenant's exam, and that was for 15. But it had 9 assessors, so it's not so much how many people you're assessing as far as cost. What drives the number of people that you're assessing is you might tend to have an extra day thrown in, or maybe a few more assessors. Okay. But that one, they had 10 assessors, and it was $15,000.
Okay.
Where the money's coming from, we'll have to look into that.
Look into that for you.
Okay.
Find my sheet where I had it costed out.
I'm sorry, I take that back, Johnny. I knew it was wrong. So I was trying to find my sheet here. It's actually $28,000.
Which is 30?
Yeah, 28,000, because the assessment center itself was like 13,000, but then we pay for hotel,
Per diems and stuff.
the orientation, travel, American Bank Center, catering, all the above.
Okay.
That was 10 assessors, and it was 28,500.
Okay.
That was,
Yeah, if we could maybe get an answer on where it comes from, what line, what budget, all that kind of stuff. Seems like an HR budget issue.
So a little bit that I have right now, I'll follow up in just 1 second. I'm following with Amelia just to kind of confirm that. So just give me just a second.
Real quick, Dave, did you get the sign-in sheet that was on the table from last week? I left it there for you. And do you have a sign-in sheet for today?
Yes, sir, I do have a sign-in sheet. I think I probably have it back at the office, but I do have a sign-in sheet.
Here.
Okay, perfect.
You left it out
Okay.
last week, you weren't here. Hey Doug, real quick, on that $30,000 cost, was that a per day, or was that just
That was for the whole.
the whole
That was
thing?
the whole. That was
Is
the
it
whole-
kind of, is it similar to ours, like 2 days, 3
Yeah,
days?
they'll do, typically they'll come in for a day, the assessors come in for a day of training,
Okay.
that's in the contract. They do have to have an 8-hour training day, and then they'll do, a couple days of I think the way it goes is, you have the training days, 1 or 2 days of training, then at least 8 hours worth of training, and then they have, of course, they come in the day before, so we pay hotel and flight and stuff. They have the 8 hours of training, and then they have the actual assessment center day, which, should be able to work it to where we can get done in 1 day. That's why you have that amount of assessors. And then they'll run through all 3 of their exercises.
So the cost could potentially be a little bit more because of 30 people, maybe?
If
Just
it
depends
got
on how many
extended an
days.
extra day, maybe that would throw in an extra day of food and hotel.
Okay.
But other than that, that's,
I mean, that's the biggest cost really, right? The per diem?
not really. The biggest cost was the actual, the hotel was $3,300. Travel will stay the same, so it's really just the catering,
Okay.
a few extra meals. That was only $1,500, so
Okay.
those are.
All right, Johnny, this next item we have is, it's a counter to the military proposal you guys gave us last week. What this is it lines up with what's in the police contract. Some of the issues that we had with the proposal from last week is that places a lot of burden on our relationship with the military, as far as, ultimately it's their decision to when and how they allow the firefighter that's, on military leave to test. Thankfully, we've had a good working relationship thus far, and we haven't had any issues. But I think moving in this direction, we're able to not only comply with USERRA and make sure the firefighters taken care of as far as, all the rights that they're entitled to while they're on deployment. And it also doesn't necessarily move anything outside of us being able to test the firefighters. So in essence, what would happen is a firefighter would be out on their deployment. If they were eligible for a military or for a promotional exam while on military leave, they would take the next military exam or next promotional exam that's offered. And if that score would have promoted them at the time that they should have taken the test, then they receive their promotion and back pay to that date. If it wouldn't have promoted them, then they get placed, they fall wherever they fall on the list that they tested for.
Okay.
And the language is mirrored exactly from what's in the police contract right now.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I just have a couple of questions. I disagree on the burden on the relationship with the military. I think most commanding officers, it's been our experience, and there's quite a few on my team that have had this experience, because they, most of them have served, is those commanding officers want whatever that firefighter who's on active duty, whether it's a year or whatever they're doing, they want them to have every right that they're entitled to. They're not going to impede the city in any way, shape, or form. That hasn't been our experience. I think one of the other things too is, when you come to what we call Plan B, we're talking about a plan that allows the firefighter to take the test the same day, same test, same everything, and it's proctored. It's as simple as a computer showing the room, however you want to do it. We think that's a better model. The only thing I would ask on the Plan B option, which is the COPS version, have you vetted it? Have you ever had to use it on the COP side? Does it even work? It seems like it's got a lot of moving parts that, you know, you're gone on leave, you come home, you take the next exam. If you score well enough, you go on the back exam, you know, the test you should have took. If not, you're placed on this list. The book lists can change. There's 2 different exams. We want to be in compliance with you, Sarah, as well. It just seems like that Plan B is a good Plan B. That's it. And Commander, he won't let us do what we want to do. I'm gonna have to talk to my team about that one.
Okay, and I would say to that too, I mean, I'm with you that the commanding officer wants what's best for the service member, but it's not always a situation that the service member will be available or that their plans would be available to make that time for the firefighter to be able to test. And I think that's where it's beyond the city's control, because I mean, ultimately the military has they have their own working orders, and we can't require them to do anything. And I understand that there's a Plan B. The other issue with the Plan B is that I think in y'all's proposal, it has a 30-day window from when they return for them to take a copy of it, or to take an exam. If it's being put up against the exam that they should have taken, that firefighter also has the ability to appeal any exam questions, and that could potentially adjust, you know, the list that they would have been on, or the list that they're testing for. And there's potential that it moves around scores, it changes promotion dates, all that good stuff. So I think that's an issue that we were trying to address with this as well.
Okay, and I mean, I can appreciate that, but, you know, 143.032B1 says, each eligible promotional candidate, which a military person would be, shall be given an identical exam in the presence of other eligible promotional candidates, except that an eligible promotional candidate who is serving on active duty in state or out of state, or not within a reasonable geographical proximity, is entitled to take the examination out of the presence of and at a different time than other candidates. Doesn't he have to take the same exam?
I mean, I think he has to take an exam, yeah. I mean, I don't know if it has to be the same exam.
Okay.
And if it is the same exam, I mean, that's what we're following under the statute right now.
Right.
It just says identical, it doesn't say same. And we give identical tests every year.
Okay. Okay. That'll give me just something we can talk with my team about.
Okay. Another item that I have, this was part of your proposal, and this is something that we had brought up previously, so I put it in TA4. This is the issue on the dragon pay. And this is just converting the days to hours. And like I said, it changes the hours for non-operation firefighters so that at the time of retirement and the time of getting paid, that they're about equal. Okay. So, any questions on that?
You know, the package proposal that we put forth to you was, you know, it was a package proposal, and I think this proposal specifically is a big part of that package. And, you know, there's other things that are in that proposal that this one has it has some kind of economic impact, whether it's to the city or the firefighter, either one way or the other. You know, there's other things that were inside of our package proposal. I'll just pick one out of the air, the 5 and 8. Seems so simple, and it still leaves a safety valve for the fire chief. And I'm curious, is that one in TA form as well?
Not currently, but, I mean, that's still up for discussion.
Okay. Yeah, I'll need to confer with my team.
No problem.
But as written, you're ready to TA this one today?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And so moving to the last item that we have for discussion today, and it's more of a background item. You know, as part of our first economic proposal, we brought forth a change to the healthcare plan. And, you know, as we move forward in negotiations, I want to kind of give you some background as to why the city is looking for that change. The proposal that we brought essentially splits the plans and the way that they're being treated and the way the premiums are calculated between the CDHP and the PPO plan. We do have our benefits manager here today to kind of go through that process. Something that I wanted to hand out to you, this was a calculation. This is how we ended up at the premiums that we're currently at right now for fiscal year '24. I believe last year it was recommended that there was supposed to be a 24% increase to the PPO plan with, that's the item up top in red.
That's fiscal 20.
Fiscal '24, yes, sir. And the CDHP plan was supposed to remain level as far as premiums. But then, I think after some discussions, it was decided it was agreed upon to split the plan, split the difference basically, and put 12% towards the CDHP and 12% to the PPO. And I mean, I think we did that in a manner of speaking, knowing that we were coming to the table and knowing that that's something that, you know, we were going to want to address here. So beyond that, I think I can, that's just giving you a background as far as where we're at the previous year.
Okay.
Is there any questions that you guys have currently about it, or?
No, I think we're all well versed in how the premiums are formulated and what's happened the past 3 summers, and I think it's kind of where we might have the disconnect. The association wholeheartedly believes that we have one insurance plan. We have 2 options inside that insurance plan. What the argument has been, the counter argument to that is that we have 2 separate plans, and we wholeheartedly disagree with that. It will be, you know, an interesting discussion to have when the time's right, about how those premiums come about. And you're absolutely right. The past 3 summers, that's exactly what's happened. You know, whether it's an increase, decrease, stay flat, the association has always determined that those increases or decreases are shared, as we see it as one plan with 2 options. So I can definitely use this with my team, and helps us get some more clarity on where we want to be. So. Did you have anything else?
I think that's about it. I mean, one of the things that we wanted to emphasize too with this is that, in essence, I mean, the PPO plan is being subsidized by the CDHP.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just one thing we, you know, wanted to make clear. Because, I mean, in essence, anybody on the CDHP would have had 0 increase this past year. I mean, that's the nature of the beast, so to speak.
Yeah, and, I mean, not trying to be mean or anything, but it's kind of, when you gave us the package proposal, and your proposal is to split the plans. What are the premiums? Tell me what the premiums are gonna be. We have an idea what we think would happen in a scenario like that. I'm not sure that we're 100% on board, totally convinced that that's the proper way to go for our membership. But we would love to have seen, hey, not only this is what we're proposing, but this is what's gonna happen to the premiums. And I think that, I hope you guys are working on that. At least it gives us a little bit of clarity in exactly what we're talking about. Because just to say, hey, we're gonna split the plans, it does nothing for us. I don't think it does anything for the city. But once we can see those premiums, then that's when we can say, okay, this is what it's gonna do. And speaking in that, if there was a split in the plan, and there was a savings of 100 grand, what's gonna happen to that 100 grand?
I mean, I think
Yeah, good question, Johnny. That's up for discussion at this point. So I think as you're aware and the team's aware, the city pays the majority of the healthcare costs for the plan. So if there's 100 grand left, we would talk about what we do with the $100,000.
So I don't wanna put any words in anybody's mouth. If there was savings in the insurance plan, some of that money could be put back into other benefits.
Correct.
All right, you got nothing else?
I mean, that's about it. I mean, just like I said, on this, one of the things is that the way, and I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but the reason that we're bringing this forward too is because we want those that are on the CDHP to realize the benefits of that plan. I mean, if their plan is doing well, it should be doing well. Unfortunately, we don't have those premium numbers right now for the following year. That's just the timing issue because of us starting so early in the year. But we do expect to have those numbers very soon.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's the carrot versus the stick too, you know. So in our, I don't remember if it was our last meeting or the meeting before that, we had kind of talked about a wage step restructure proposal and asked you guys to cost out a 8344 at a 345 step with a 1% top to bottom. Have you been able to get that number, a hard number?
I think they're still working on calculating now.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we weren't able to get to it just in a short turnaround, but we should have that costed out in our next meeting.
So in our package proposal that we gave you guys last cycle, or last meeting, I'm sorry, I apologize. We, it's kind of one of those things, Gabe. I don't necessarily think that either of us should be cherry picking what we want in the package proposal, not in the package proposal. You know, we had offered you guys a deputy chief's appointment for the fire chief. And honestly, really confused as to why you guys haven't taken us up on that. It's not normal for a labor association to just give away positions. That's one of them, right? And then the voluntary wellness program, we fully anticipate that has some sort of cost, but whatever it would cost would definitely outweigh the benefit of especially the cancer screening, and just an overall general fitness and wellness initiative for firefighters. Any thoughts on that?
I know that that's part of the, we're costing that out as part of the package, and, you know, we want to see what that all entails.
Okay.
And as far as as far as the deputy chief appointment, we don't think, I mean, it's a start, but we don't think that's enough, and that's not necessarily the direction that we want to go, and that's why we don't want to piecemeal it in that aspect.
Okay. Yet you're asking us to piecemeal the drag up. Because that does have a benefit to our membership. And we can get into all the things about it, but, okay. The other one was the association business leave.
I think we're still costing that one out as well. I think we had some questions concerning the, I guess, the rank, because depending on what rank they're at and what step they're at, how much those hours would cost.
Okay.
And they're just also too, and I'm sure you're aware, there's a potential court case concerning the association business leave that's.
Yes, Texas Supreme Court.
Yeah, it's set in there right before, they haven't rendered their opinion on it yet, so.
Right, I think we both know how that one's gonna rule. It'll rule in the association's favor, we believe.
Well, we just want to make sure that we're not.
And, yeah, I'm with you on that. I have those same concerns, and I think, you know, we can't say what happens up there in that crazy city, but, you know, in Corpus Christi, we're a little more diligent, more, we know what's right and what's wrong.
Yes, sir.
I think I got just two more questions. The water boat rescue station definition, removing the words boat, we're trying to help you, is what we're trying to do. If you guys just keep that in the back of your head, we're not trying to get double pay for anybody, none of that kind of stuff. We're trying to help the department. We believe that if you leave that designation in there, there may be an issue. Maybe not today, but eventually.
Can you kind of give me some background or give me a little more explanation on that?
So if you have this designation of, number one, a water boat rescue station, then you have the designation that this boat has to be X number of feet, and the fire chief gets a new boat, sends the 18-foot boat to station number 2, my station. I guess we can put in at Labonte Park, but would I not be eligible for pay under that definition, that provision? We believe that the answer may actually be yes. And that's all we're trying to do. We're trying to take away that ambiguous definition that's so broad and leave it to what you proposed, which is at the chief's discretion, he may designate a specialty station. That's what we're trying to do, trying to help.
Okay.
So I'm actually trying to save us some work too,
Anyway, I think it does fall towards the chief's designation.
even with the definition.
I think even with the definition, because I think that's included in the
Okay,
definition. But,
I just ask you to look at it.
yes, sir.
Again, we're just trying to help. The last one was and it almost seems like we've been talking about this one for months. The 9 and 11 on the EMS 2s going back to 5 and 8. The fire chief still has the safety valve. The safety valve's the moratorium. We're trying to help the fire chief get qualified personnel to fill his specialty station assignments. That's what we're trying to do. We've had vacancies at station number 3, probably our busiest station in the city, handles technical rescue. These guys are the real deal, yet there's 1 or 2 shifts that have had vacancies for what seems like forever. There are people that want to do that, are very technically skilled to do that, but because they're tied to a 9 and 11, they have no ability to demote, to take those positions. In 2016, when we did the 9 and 11, we were in a really bad place. The city didn't hire for 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years, however long it was. You know, our pool was dwindling. What we did in 2016 fixed that problem. We haven't had that issue since. We have a plethora of firefighters that can ride the ambulance, a lot. We think it's beneficial to allow those members who possess those skills the ability to demote at 5 and 8 years respectively, and be able to fill those positions. And we would ask you guys, it seems like we've been talking about it for months. It seems so simple to us. I see the concern. The concern is tempered with the moratorium. There's a critical number, an acceptable number. That's what we're talking about. You'll never run into the same issue again as long as the formula is right, and it has to be right because it's built on the number of medic units that we have, and that number is only going to go up. So I'd ask you to look at that. You know, let's get it out of the way. It seems so easy. One last thing I want to talk to you about is the catastrophic leave donation proposal that we put forward. A couple of years ago, I had a conversation with Peter Zanoni, city manager. We had a firefighter whose wife had passed away very unexpectedly. That firefighter had to take leave. That firefighter ran out of sick leave very fast. And I asked Peter for a one-time exemption from the rule. I wanted to give that firefighter 300 of my hours, right? Just me. And Peter begrudgingly told me that he couldn't. He wanted to, but he couldn't because of the way our contract reads. And he implored me to bring it to this table at this time and put forth a plan to where that would never happen again. Since that initial, and I'm just going to go from that initial request about 2 or 3 years ago, it's happened 2 more times to different people. And we want the ability, just like you guys have. We don't want to create anything other than if he needs it, I can give it to him. And I can give it to him 48 hours max. That's all we're asking. And I'll use myself as an example. I don't know how much sick leave. It's crazy how much I have. If I get sick, I'm going to need it. But I've got a lot. You know, and I would much rather help a brother or a sister. I wish I could give it to you, but I can't. Your policy doesn't allow me to. All we're asking for is the same treatment from the city to allow firefighters to contribute to each other. And in those limited circumstances that are in that proposal, it's not going to be willy-nilly. At the end of the day, the fire chief has the authority to approve or deny. That's all we're asking. We just want to be treated fairly. Our guys, the person I'm talking about specifically, he had to have people trade with him, work for him. He had no leave. It's either that or don't get paid. He's trying to bury his wife. And we're a family. We're a brotherhood, a sisterhood. And our guys stepped up and worked for him. The problem is he has to pay every one of them back. That's the way the laws are reading, you know? And it just seems so much simpler to say, hey, look, man, you need 10 hours, here's 10 hours. And you do that enough, before you know it, you've got 3 or 4 shifts, whether it's 48 hours, 96 hours, you know, whatever, 184 hours. I mean, I can keep going. We just think it's a better model. And I only brought it forward because Peter told me, fix it at the table. He agreed, fix it at the table. And that's why you got it. So we'd ask you guys, Actually, I would implore you guys to look at that proposal. And we just want to be treated like every other city employee. We wish we could give you time. We can't. So. I think we're good. You have topics?
Yes, but I got one question for you too. This is from your previous proposal. The proposal on overtime pay for Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day.
Yes, sir.
So I just want to give you a scenario. So if I'm a firefighter, but I'm not scheduled to work on one of those days, but I get called in or I'm covering somebody's shift, and so I should be receiving overtime on that. Am I only receiving the double time rate that's in the proposal?
That's an Amy question. I don't know the answer. I mean, that's a finance question. I would actually, I mean, think about what you're asking. The only reason a firefighter would be working overtime on that day is because we have a call, we have a situation that necessitates a callback. He should be entitled to the 1.5, and he should be entitled to the double.
So then out of the two, which does he get though?
Right. I think he gets them both. I'm not a finance person. I don't know the answer. I really don't. I mean, just in my head, I would think the answer is he gets both of them. He's working overtime on a compensable overtime day. I don't know.
Okay, well, we can discuss that one.
I honestly don't know the answer, so.
Sure. All right, I think we'll caucus right now.
Okay.
And then,
Yes, sir.
thanks for letting us caucus. One of the things, Johnny, that we wanted just to make sure it's not getting lost in translation, and just, specifically for those 287 people that are on the CDHP, we wanted to explain a little bit more that data sheet that we gave to y'all. I was going to have Desiree walk through it and kind of explain what things would have looked like, and then how we ended up with the current premiums.
So the sheet that Gabe had handed out to you just reflects what the cost difference is for employees between the PPO plan and the CDHP plans. You can tell on the top, those are the premiums for the PPO plans. The top two tables were the recommended 24% increase, and that is based on the year-over-year cost between FY23 and FY24. The PPO plan costs increased 24%. Beneath that, in your purple boxes, you can see that the top two boxes were for CDHP, and those plans are recommended to stay level, and that was based on costs between FY23 and FY24 that decreased 1%. So the importance of looking at this particular information, the recommended on the PPO was a 24%, but we increased 12% instead. And on the CDHP, the recommendation was to keep level, but we increased 12%. So the difference was the employees paid an additional $386,500 just to help cover the costs on the PPO plan. Whereas if we had only done, if we had left on the CDHP, we had remained level and didn't increase premiums at all, employees would have paid $463,000 less over the course of the year of FY24. On the PPO plan, it was $386,514. So the important thing to remember is that we're collecting more money on the CDHP plan, which is helping to offset the cost on the PPO plan. And I know you're saying, I know that you have said it is one plan, and I understand it is one plan, but it's got two different options. So any employee that, whatever they're choosing, whether they choose to be on the PPO plan or the CDHP plan, each option has its own costs. So in FY24, the cost to run that plan increased 24%, and on the CDHP FY24, the cost to run that plan decreased 1%. So whatever option that particular employee is on, you're paying into that plan. So when one plan is increasing more than the other, you're asking employees on the CDHP plan to pay more when they didn't necessarily have to help offset any cost on the PPO plan. And I know we've discussed this. I know you've said, well, it's one plan. And maybe it is one plan, but it's still two different options. And we have to think about what the incentive is to have an employee choose the CDHP plan over the PPO plan.
Desiree, I appreciate that. I mean, you really agreed with us. It is one plan. I mean, you said
But
it
still
twice.
two options.
I don't disagree, it is two options, but it is one plan. The way we bargained it was, and it says it in the very first paragraph, the formulary for city care fire is X.
Yeah, that's true.
It does say that.
It is
right?
formulated exactly
And
the
then,
same.
I appreciate you agreeing with me on my position. It is one plan.
And Desiree, just for the record though, the civilians, there is a PPO and a CDHP offering, and those plans are treated independently, correct?
Yes, they're treated independently. And when we're looking at the PPO and the CDHP, even for fire, we're treating them independently when we're coming up with the cost to run it, because each plan has its own PEPM. I didn't necessarily agree that it's one plan. I said, I understand that you agree that you think it's one plan. I did not agree with you, but I did say it's at least two options on on the health plan, right? If we call it the health plan. And civilians are treated as two different plans. We have the CDHP and the PPO. They each have their own PEPM, which is per employee per month cost. And it's calculated to come up like that. It's based on how much is paid on claims, how much is paid in fees, how much is paid on prescription drugs, what their deductibles are, and what the enrollment is. And so if you've got more people enrolled, you've got 287 enrolled on the CDHP and 192 enrolled on PPO, you've got more employees enrolled on the CDHP, but your PEPM is more on the PPO. So for FY24 budget, the PEPM was $2,051 on PPO compared to $949 on the CDHP per employee per month.
I agree. It's one plan. It is one plan. The record will show you agree with me. That's okay. I mean, that's a good discussion to have. You know, I think we're making progress. I really do. One of the things that I'd asked from you guys was a breakdown of the plans, right? PPO, CDHP, retiree, and each one, right? And I look at those numbers. It's encouraging. It's kind of sort of what we expected, you know. But it is kind of crazy, I guess you'd say, that I'm just going to go to the retiree plans, right? In your third line, you have a admin cost of $73,000, right?
Yeah, I want to say that is what was emailed.
Yes, it is,
And
and I don't disagree with that. But there's another line, clinic cost, and they're each in the retirees' plans. It makes them look inflated. If the retiree on the CDHP, which we have 4 members, all right, those 4 members pay their fair share, pro rata, of $73,586 for administration.
I would like to say that those are not accurate. Like, they're not per employee.
Right.
They were rough numbers that I
Right.
had to take out of these particular numbers, I believe, that we had sent. Admin costs, clinic costs, and I just had to do some simple division to divide it amongst the number of members that are enrolled in each plan. So I don't know that we should take, they're relative, like, to.
They have a cost.
Yes, they're costs, but they're
Okay.
relative, they're simple division, and I would not say that they're completely accurate. The accurate numbers aren't going to be in for another week,
Okay.
and so we would have better numbers in a couple of weeks.
And I really do appreciate, Gabe, you guys sending over the FY '23 numbers. It really, it put a face to the number, you know, whether it's 10 million or whatever this adds up to, which I think is about 9 million. It is what it is, right? The only, I would caution us, do the city employees bargain? Do they have a CBA? Are they collective bargaining? Are they 174?
Unfortunately, they do not.
Exactly.
for them.
Unfortunately, you are not. Firefighters bargain for their benefits, bargain for their rights. That's why you'll see a difference in what happens on the city side, city employees. And I feel for you guys. I wish y'all had a bargaining unit. I really do. But we have a bargaining unit. Our bargaining unit in 2020 bargained that specific article the way it's written today. We bargained it in 2020. We can go into the semantics and all of that, but I know what we bargained. So, and I feel confident in that. And yet here today we are willing to talk to you. So don't take that in the wrong way. It's just, we are making progress, I'll tell you that. And I appreciate all the research requests y'all get that y'all feel. I would ask you, we would hope that you guys see our proposals submitted today, that they're fair, right? And that every proposal we're submitting is to make progress. And that's what we want to do today, is make progress. And you know, I know it could be a short meeting if we wanted it to be. We could TA some stuff, or we can make the meeting what we're here for, right? We understand that wages are still being looked at. We feel that the wage proposal package that we put together, we're hoping to get the numbers from you, right? Is independent of the any insurance modification. You know, I think that, Michael, I mean, even today, you said exactly what I already knew. Any savings that could be realized will be shared together, right? I think that's important for us. Again, we request that you consider our wage proposal that we've given you. Take it serious. And at the end of the day, I know we're going to get to where we want to go. It's just how much pain do we got to go to get there? And I want as little pain as possible. I'm sure you want the same thing on your side. With that, we've got a suggestion. We've got a package deal. We think you guys are going to find okay, and we hope to TA it right now.
Just before we get into that, John,
Yep.
let me just, while we're still on the healthcare subject. So I mean, is it the union's position that those 280 plus members understand that they're helping to subsidize the PPO plan?
I think everybody at this table understands that, and most of our members understand that. I told you guys last week or the week before that we're a very unique group. We're like family. I can look at Randy and I can look at Doug straight in the face, and they know what I'm saying. We're like a family. All for one, one for all. 99% of the time. So that's our position. This one's, I'll make sure you get this one. I know it's. So I want to go through it piece by piece, Gabe. I'll wait till everybody gets theirs. Eddie, okay? Thank you, team. Make sure Will gets one. So we're gonna make a suggestion. you picked out the sick leave drag up. I believe that was y'all's proposal. We told you from day one that it was fair, we were good with that. However, we want to bundle a few things. The first one's going to be the military leave, and it's as your counter. We're good with that. It's better than what we're doing right now today. So I think we give it an opportunity to work. If we need to fix it, we come back in 28 and fix it. So. The next one's going to be the Article 10. It's the voluntary wellness program, and I don't know. Can't emphasize it enough that the early detection of cancer and the overall increase to the health of the firefighter has a huge benefit, specifically to our insurance plans. You know, I think right now, currently, we have at least a few firefighters that are battling cancer. Some of them caught it late. You know, a cancer screening program might have caught one or two of them, or maybe even all of them, 3, 4, 5 years earlier, and we wouldn't have $1 million claims against our insurance. And although most of those are compensable, workers' comp, there's probably one or two that really aren't. You know, they're just cancer claims, and we see the real value to that type of program. And not to mention the fitness and the nutrition, the wellness. You know, that's a huge side too. The last one was the next one was our catastrophic leave donation, and again, I mean, you've heard what I said about the firefighters in my conversations with City Manager Zanoni, and we think this actually has benefits too. There'll be in conjunction with the wellness initiative, there could potentially be a decrease in the use of a catastrophic type leave for stuff like cancer and, you know, those types of issues. And so we see those two kind of go together, help each other out. And although it may not be immediate, I think in the long term that those two do kind of work together a little bit. And then the last one, the 05 and 8. All right. You know, what we're trying to accomplish with the 5 and 8 is really, it's not only the firefighter and his well-being and his mental well-being and those types of things, but it bleeds over also into the specialty stations. You know, given the department the ability to pick up those guys that are at their 5 or their 8 year mark that have these special skills, specialty station assignment is not for the average firefighter. It's for the guy who is above and beyond and has a skill set most firefighters don't possess. And although every firefighter can possess that skill set, it takes hours upon hours and years upon years of training. And that's hard to do when you're on an ambulance 24/7 for 9 or 11 years. We're just trying to get that person a little bit sooner. And granted, I think there's probably only maybe 20 spots for those types of people. I may be off on that number a little bit, maybe 25. But that's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to hurt the department. And again, I'll say it one more time. At the end of the day, the fire chief has a safety valve. That safety valve is called the moratorium. You have an acceptable number, a critical number. There's nothing in between. It's one of those two. And right now, I believe we are way above the acceptable number, to the tune of about 50, I believe. So, but you'll notice on the last page, we left it so we could TA it.
We'll need to caucus and discuss it.
Okay.
One question I'll have
Yeah.
on the 5 and the 8s.
Yeah.
Would the union be interested in considering an exception to allow certain firefighters to devote or to not necessarily changing the language of the 9 and 11, but allowing certain firefighters to demote so that they can go into the specialized areas.
I mean, are we talking about the package as presented with that modification?
I mean, it's specifically modifying this.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to accept that package as given with that modification?
I need to discuss that with the
Okay.
team. Yeah.
And I have to discuss it with my team too.
No problem.
We didn't actually think about that idea. I would need to talk to them.
Alrighty. I think in that case, so we'll caucus and
Okay.
come back.
Thank you, Gabe.
Yes, sir. All right, Johnny, thanks for giving us some time to caucus. We discussed the TA that you guys put together. What I'm gonna hand to you, I only have one copy of it, so. This is basically taking the first, I think, first two items of your TA plus the last one on the 5 and the 8, and also including our proposal on the deputy chief and assistant chief appointments, and I have copies of those for your team as well, just so it's the exact proposal you gave me. We did remove out the catastrophic leave and the wellness plan. We are interested in those, but we do believe that there is going to be some cost associated with them, so we want to have time to cost those out. And, we'll bring those back at our next meeting along with the rest of our economic package, so we're still looking into those.
See if they
You're good with that, thank you. So it would be the drag-up pay, the military leave proposal, the 5-8 proposal, and then our deputy chief appointment together.
Tell me, I apologize,
Yeah.
Gabe. Can you tell me one more reason why you removed the wellness and the catastrophic?
We just believe that there's some economic impact to those, so we
Okay.
want to be able to cost those out. And there's also some language with the sick leave request.
Okay.
We want to, you guys mentioned that you wanted to look kind of similar to what the city policy is, and so we want to come back with some different language on that.
Okay, so you're not disinterested in it, it's just gonna come back, we'll look at it a different way.
Different form, yes, sir.
Okay, I mean, all we can do is take y'all at your word that those two programs, especially the wellness, is very important, I think, to all of us. And we think that does have an impact, it does.
Yes.
But it also has some savings too. And we think the savings are huge, potentially, if you catch something early. It's okay. So as long as we have your word, we're still gonna look at them.
Yes, sir.
I understand that. I see everyone nodding, so I believe you. Okay. So basically you just added the appointments of the deputy chiefs and assistant chiefs?
Yes, sir.
No modification to the 5-8, right?
No modification to the
Okay.
5-8.
Could I have about 5 minutes with my team?
Sure, absolutely.
Gabe, thanks for letting us take a few minutes to look everything over. I think, and we're making great progress, I think, and we're on the right path, right? I think what we would like to do, we've got your proposal on, the appointments. You said that you needed to cost the wellness and the catastrophic. We know that you're still costing the wage scale. We know we're also still waiting on insurance costs. Let's just table it. The proposal. We would like to see those things costed, put together. The appointments is a big thing, and I think we're more comfortable with that scenario. I know we had talked about coming back on April the 10th.
April the 10th, yes.
April the 10th. I would hope that it's surely ready by then,
Yep.
and then let's tackle it then. I think we're making good progress, a lot more than I thought we would today.
Okay.
So, we'd like to do that,
Okay.
so.
Okay, I think then we're good, so, I'll put out the notice for April the 10th. We won't meet next week.
Okay.
And then we'll wait till the 10th, because by then we'll have the data and we'll be able to
Okay,
really get the wheels turning, so,
okay, sounds good.
all right.
Yes, sir. Thank you.